Welcome to Voodoo Whiskey Gaming, and this is my late review of Shadow Warrior. I play it on the PS5. It's also available on the PS4, Xbox One, Xbox Series, and PC. So this is kind of a new thing that I'm trying, like a re-review to see how this game holds up literally 10 years after I reviewed it the first time. That's my reasoning, so let's get into the story. You play as Lo Wang, yes, that is his name, and if you're wondering if they make jokes about it, yes they do. He is sent to buy the Nobitsu Kage, which is this ancient katana. Unfortunately, the guy who he's going to buy it from doesn't want to sell it and sends guys to kill him, and a few other things happen and it causes a demon apocalypse. Maybe not quite an apocalypse, but definitely a massive demon invasion. Lo Wang is saved by a demon named Hoji, and the two of them team up to basically stop this demon invasion, stop bad guys, stop evil. And the story actually is much more in depth than that. There are some great twists and turns along the way that I really enjoyed, and when you think about some of the writing in this game, some of those twists and turns are deeper than you'd probably anticipate. But I gotta say, the story is good. It's not necessarily my favorite part. My favorite part is absolutely the dialogue in this game. The writing in this game is ridiculous and over the top. It's like if you had like an 80s, 90s action movie, but Deadpool lines. So you get a mix of those like cheesy one-liners, but some of them are just ridiculous and inappropriate, and they're very much something you might get out of like Deadpool. So I just loved that kind of humor that they had, as well as all the ridiculous fortune cookies that you find throughout and the jokes that are in them. That was great. But let's move on to the audio, and the first thing I'm gonna say is the music is fine. Sometimes the music gets a little more dramatic than you would expect from a game like this, maybe a little cheesy almost for a game like this. But at other times the music really fits the action or whatever's going on at the time. Then you have the sound effects, which they feel a bit aged, they feel a bit generic. Your revolver sounds like most other revolvers you've heard from other games. Shotgun, the same. You know, the weapons sound pretty similar. The katanas sound good, the demons sound good. I think those work better than the weapons do. Not that I have any complaints with them. They work well enough, but just well enough. Then you have the voiceover work, which that is awesome. The voiceover work is very well done because they have to do a good job delivering some of these cheesy, ridiculous, corny one-liners. But then when the story is taking its twists and turns and it's getting more dramatic at times, they have to do a good job delivering that stuff as well, and they do. Now let's move on to the gameplay mechanics and whatnot, and this is a first-person shooter, where you can also upgrade, so some semi-RPG-ish mechanics, because they're everywhere. As for the RPG mechanics, it's money to upgrade your weapons, it's crystals to upgrade your special powers, like your healing ability, your shield, etc. And then it's karma to upgrade your health, your defense, things like that, your attack damage, etc. Which the special abilities is a cool idea, and the execution is not great. It's like how you're meant to execute them, which is kind of a controls thing, just doesn't seem to work in the heat of combat. So I guess we'll discuss that a bit more later. Now, as for the FPS part, you run around, you shoot demons, you shoot bad guys. There's not really problem solving. You'll explore and find certain lanterns you need to destroy to unlock doors or maybe find keys, things like that. One thing that this game does do, and I kind of remembered it previously, is you don't hide away and like heal over time. You have your healing power and you have health packs. So it has a kind of old school vibe in that sense that, you know, you've got to find health packs or you've got to get away from combat just long enough so that you can heal yourself, which that can be rough. Now, you do have special abilities, but I found myself rarely using them for the same reason that I was mentioning earlier with issues with the healing. What I found myself doing a lot was hacking things up with my katana, because that is a great weapon in the game, and it's probably one of the better weapons overall, and then blasting the ever-living shit out of the different demons with the revolver, the submachine gun, shotgun, etc., etc. But that's another thing I want to say that I did enjoy is the number of different types of enemies. While you can try and use the same tactic, it doesn't necessarily work for every enemy. Sometimes you do need to get distance and really use your guns, but at other times, you know, getting up close and personal and melee works great. And it really will depend on the enemy, and it can really change how you go into a fight and what you're doing in that fight. You may go into a fight, get your ass absolutely kicked, and then you have to be like, oh, okay, I'm gonna do this, this, and this. That way I can get through this. I will say there are some weapons that are far more useful than others. The shotgun, kind of good. It's good in some situations, but it's kind of crap overall, whereas the others are a little bit better at everything than the shotgun was. Except for the rocket launcher, you gotta be super careful with that. Overall, I enjoyed the way they did things, the mission structure and all of that. I do wish the special abilities were easier to use. That way you could, feel a good reason to use them in gameplay. Which, let's get into the controls. Aiming, pulling the trigger, all of that works well, except for the weird ADS thing. Like, you're supposed to be able to half pull and go ADS, and it works sometimes, doesn't work all the time, but you can just click right stick to go ADS, it works better. The problem with the special abilities is you've got to double tap in a direction and then hold down L2 or R2 to either attack or heal yourself or something. And the problem is when you're in the heat of combat, getting that to work correctly doesn't. There were plenty of times where I was trying to heal myself and I nearly died or did die because I was trying to do the heal move, but it just doesn't trigger well when you're in combat because maybe you're already going to the right. So double tapping to the right and then it just doesn't work great. And sometimes you'll think you've double tapped and then it's like, nah, you didn't. So it made it really difficult to pull off any of the special attacks that I had, and it made it difficult to heal. And I don't know how much of that is just a poor mapping versus the game not responding, because when you're shooting, you're slashing, you're doing all of those things. The controls are very responsive, so I feel like it's a poor way of just triggering those abilities. Now let's move on to the graphics, and ooh, it's aged. I remember thinking this looked decent at the time, or at least pretty good, but wow, it's aged. It doesn't look amazing. It doesn't even look particularly great, but it wasn't like a huge AAA game with a huge crazy AAA budget trying to be hyper realistic back then. It looks good for what it is and being cheesy and campy, but it's not a good looking game. If you're one of those graphics snob people, going back and playing this is gonna be rough on you because, well, it just doesn't look great. The design of the demons is there, the design in the world is there, and it's cool, and it's this kind of over-the-top version of Japan, and your character is kind of over the top. The demons are kind of they're well done, they're well designed, I like them. I feel like they looked unique compared to what we've seen of other demons. I'm not gonna say they're all over the top, some of them are kind of over the top, but the design is there. The problem is the graphics are not. Visually, it's not, this high fidelity, super detailed experience. I do think that they added some fun little details, like you're able to hack limbs off. That's kind of cool because there are still games that don't do stuff like that. One thing I am gonna bitch about, because it's like an artistic design or style or choice or whatever you want to call it, and it's the camera. It tilts left or right, and it's not like a bob. It'll sit there for a while and then it'll kind of shift over. So it's not like it's bobbing while you're sprinting. It's just this weird choice that they made to have the camera just tilt. It can honestly get a little frustrating, and there were times where in certain areas it honestly gave me a little bit of, I'm not gonna say nausea, but it did make me feel a little uncomfortable. I'm not the kind of person who generally has that issue, but that weird bobbing of it, it took me a while to get used to, and at first it was giving me some issues. And I remember hating that the first time I played this game, and I hate it still. I mean, eventually you do adapt to it, but at the same time you always still kind of notice it. So that was just a weird choice they made for the camera from a visual standpoint that I have to point out here. Now, as for glitches, it never crashed on me or anything like that. I did have some weird clipping. There was a cutscene where the enemy looked like he was standing in a hole in the ground when really he was supposed to be the same height as everybody else, but he glitched halfway through the floor. But nothing that I would say ruined the game that wasn't, already a planned mechanic. Which, to get into the wrap-up, I don't think any of that stuff really ruined the game. I just think it could have made the overall experience better if those things like triggering the special abilities and healing worked like they were meant to. That being said, I really enjoyed replaying this game. I found myself laughing at it because I still think the script is goofy and over the top and wacky, and I love those stupid one-liners and jokes. So while it definitely does show its age, I can comfortably still recommend this game. Okay, so in the comments down below, why don't you tell me, what are some of the weirdest fortunes you've gotten out of a fortune cookie? I've gotten Yoda quotes. I've gotten, hey, somebody finally let me out of this cookie. So why don't you tell me what you've got? As always, thanks for watching. If you enjoyed the video, please hit that like button. And if you like what I'm doing in general, share and subscribe. Have a good one.